book reading. Let us begin with prayers. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Pahi Imam Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Rakshamam. Reading from Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by His Divine Grace Vishwaguru Abhay Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Chapter 13, entitled The Stealing of the Boys and Calves by Brahma. Shukadev Goswami was very much encouraged when Maharaj Parikshit asked him why the cowherd boys did not discuss the death of Aghasura until after 1 year had passed. He explained thus: My dear king, you are making the subject matter of the transcendental pastimes of Krishna fresher by your inquisitiveness. It is said that it is the nature of a devotee to constantly apply his mind, energy, words, ears, etc. in hearing and chanting about Krishna. This is called Krishna consciousness. And for one who is wrapped in hearing and chanting Krishna, the subject matter never becomes hackneyed or old. That is the significance of transcendental subject matter in contrast to material subject matter. Material subject matter becomes stale, and one cannot hear a certain subject for a long time. He wants change. But as far as transcendental subject matter is concerned, it is called Nitya Navanavaya Mana. This means that one can go on chanting and hearing about the Lord and never feel tired, but will remain fresh and eager to hear more and more. It is the duty of the spiritual master to disclose all confidential subject matter to the inquisitive and sincere disciple. Thus, Shukadev Goswami began to explain why the killing of Aghasura was not discussed until 1 year had passed. Shukadev Goswami told the king, Now hear of this secret with attention. After saving his friends from the mouth of Aghasura and after killing the demon, Lord Krishna brought his friends to the bank of Yamuna and addressed them as follows: My dear friends, just see how this spot is very nice for taking lunch and playing on the soft, sandy Yamuna bank. You can see how the lotus flowers in the water are beautifully blown and how they distribute their flavor all around. The chirping of the birds, along with cooing of the peacocks, surrounded by the whispering of the leaves in the trees, combine and present sound vibrations that echo one another. And this just enriches the beautiful scenery created by the trees here. Let us have our lunch in this spot because it is already late and we are feeling hungry. Let the cows remain near us and let them drink water from the Yamuna. While we engage in our lunch taking, the calves may engage in eating the soft grasses that are in this spot. On hearing this proposal from Krishna, all the boys became very glad and said, Certainly, let us all sit down here to take our lunch. Then they let loose the calves to eat the soft grass. Sitting down on the ground and keeping Krishna in the center, they began to open their different boxes brought from home. Lord Sri Krishna was seated in the center of the circle, and all the boys kept their faces toward him. They ate and constantly enjoyed seeing the Lord face to face. Krishna appeared to be the whirl of a lotus flower, and the boys surrounding him appeared to be its different petals. The boys collected flowers, leaves of flowers, and barks of trees and placed them under their different boxes, and thus they began to eat their lunch, keeping company with Krishna. While taking lunch, each boy began to manifest different kinds of relations with Krishna, and they enjoyed each other's company with joking words. While thus enjoying lunch with his friends, Lord Krishna's flute was pushed within the belt of his cloth, and his bugle and cane were pushed in on the left hand side of his cloth. He was holding a lump of foodstuff prepared with yogurt, butter, rice, and pieces of fruit salad in his left palm, which could be seen through his petal like finger joints. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who accepts the results of all great sacrifices, was laughing and joking, enjoying lunch with his friends in Vrindavan. And thus the scene was being observed by the demigods from heaven. As for the boys, they were simply enjoying transcendental bliss in the company of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. At that time, the calves that were pasturing nearby entered into the deep forest, allured by new grasses, and gradually went out of sight. When the boys saw that the calves were not nearby, they became afraid for their safety, and they immediately cried out, Krishna! Krishna is the killer of fear personified. Everyone is afraid of fear personified, but fear personified is afraid of Krishna. By crying out the word Krishna, the boys at once transcended the fearful situation. Out of his great affection, Krishna did not want his friends to give up their pleasing lunch engagement and go searching for the calves. He therefore said, My dear friends, you need not interrupt your lunch. Go on enjoying. I am going personally where the calves are. Thus, Lord Krishna immediately started to search out the calves in the caves and bushes. He searched in the mountain holes and in the forests, but nowhere could he find them. At the time when Aghasura was killed and the demigods were looking on the incident with great surprise, Brahma, who was born out of the lotus flower growing out of the navel of Vishnu, also came to see. He was surprised how a little boy like Krishna could act so wonderfully. Although he was informed that the little cowherd boy was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he wanted to see more glorified pastimes of the Lord, and thus he stole all the calves and cowherd boys and took them to a different place. Lord Krishna, therefore, in spite of searching for the calves, could not find them, and he even lost his boyfriends on the bank of the Yamuna where they had been taking their lunch. In the form of a cowherd boy, Lord Krishna was very little in comparison to Brahma, but because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he could immediately understand that all the calves and boys had been stolen by Brahma. Krishna thought, Brahma has taken away all the boys and calves. How can I alone return to Vrindavan? The mothers will be aggrieved. Therefore, in order to satisfy the mothers of his friends, as well as to convince Brahma of the supremacy of the personality of Godhead, he immediately expanded himself as the cowherd boys and calves. In the Vedas, it is said that the Supreme Personality of Godhead expands himself in so many different living entities by his energy. Therefore, it was not very difficult for him to expand himself again into so many boys and calves. He expanded himself to become exactly like the boys, who were all of different features, facial and bodily construction, and who were different in their clothing and ornaments, and in their behavior and personal activities. In other words, everyone has different tastes. Being individual soul, each person has entirely different activities and behavior. Yet, Krishna exactly expanded himself into all the different positions of the individual boys. He also became the calves, who were also of different sizes, colors, activities, etc. This was possible because everything is an expansion of Krishna's energy. In the Vishnu Purana, it is said, Parasya Brahmana Shaktihi. Parasya Brahmana Shaktihi. Whatever we actually see in the cosmic manifestation, be it matter or the activities of the living entities, is simply an expansion of the energies of the Lord, as heat and light are the different expansions of fire, thus expanding himself as the boys and calves in their individual capacities, and surrounded by such expansions of himself, Krishna entered the village of Vrindavan. The residents had no knowledge of what had happened. After entering the village, Vrindavan, all the calves entered their respective cowsheds, and the boys also went to their respective mothers and homes. The mothers of the boys heard the vibration of their flutes before their entrance, and to receive them, they came out of their homes and embraced them. And out of maternal affection, milk was flowing from their breasts, and they allowed the boys to drink it. However, their offering was not exactly to their boys, but to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who had expanded himself into such boys. This was another chance for all the mothers of Vrindavan to feed the Supreme Personality of Godhead with their own milk. Therefore, Lord Krishna gave not only Yashoda the chance of feeding him, but this time he gave the chance to all the elderly gopis. All the boys began to deal with their mothers as usual, and the mothers also, on the approach of evening, began to bathe their respective children, decorate them with tilaka and ornaments, and give them necessary food after the day's labor. The cows also, who were away in the pasturing ground, returned in the evening and began to call their respective calves. The calves immediately came to their mothers, and the mothers began to lick the bodies of the calves. These relations between the cows and the gopis with their calves and boys remained unchanged, although actually the original calves and boys were not there. Actually, the cows' affection for their calves and the elderly gopis' affection for the boys causelessly increased. Their affection increased naturally, even though the calves and boys were not their offspring. Although the cows and elderly gopis of Vrindavan had greater affection for Krishna than for their own offspring, after this incident, their affection for their offspring increased exactly as it did for Krishna. For 1 year continuously, Krishna himself expanded as the calves and cowherd boys and was present in the pasturing ground. As it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna's expansion is situated in everyone's heart as the super soul. Similarly, instead of expanding himself as the super soul, he expanded himself as a portion of calves and cowherd boys for 1 continuous year. One day, when Krishna, along with Balaram, was maintaining the cows in the forest, they saw some cows grazing on the top of Govardhan Hill. The cows could see down into the valley where the calves were being taken care of by the boys. Suddenly, on sighting their calves, the cows began to run towards them. They leaped downhill with joined front and rear legs. The cows were so melted with affection for their calves that they did not care about the rough path from the top of Govardhan Hill down to the pasturing ground. They began to approach the calves with their milk bags full of milk, and they raised their tails upwards. When they were coming down the hill, their milk bags were pouring milk on the ground out of intense maternal affection for the calves, although they were not their own calves. These calves had their own calves. Sorry. These cows had their own calves, and the calves that were grazing beneath Govardhan Hill were larger. They were not expected to drink milk directly from the milk bag, but were satisfied with the grass. Yet, all the cows came immediately and began to lick their bodies, and the cows also began to suck milk from the milk bags. There appeared to be a great bondage of affection between the cows and cows. When the cows were running down from the top of Govardhan Hill, the men who were taking care of them tried to stop them. Elderly cows are taken care of by the men, and the calves are taken care of by the boys. And so that the calves do not drink all the available milk. Therefore, the men who were taking care of the cows on the top of Govardhan Hill tried to stop them, but they failed. Baffled by their failure, they were feeling ashamed and angry. They were very unhappy, but when they came down and saw their children taking care of the calves, they all of a sudden became very affectionate toward the children. It was very astonishing. Although the men came down disappointed, baffled, and angry, as soon as they saw their own children, their hearts melted with great affection. At once, their anger, dissatisfaction, and unhappiness disappeared. They began to smell their children's heads and enjoy their company with great happiness. After embracing their children, the men again took the cows down the hill. Along the way, they began to think of their children, and affectionate tears fell from their eyes. When Balaram saw this extraordinary exchange of affection between the cows and their calves, and between the fathers and their children, when neither the calves nor the children needed so much care, he began to wonder why this extraordinary thing happened. He was astonished to see all the residents of Vrindavan so affectionate for their own children exactly as they had been for Krishna. Similarly, the cows had grown affectionate for their calves as much as for Krishna. Balaram therefore concluded that the extraordinary show of affection was something mystical, either performed by some powerful men. Otherwise, how could this wonderful change take place? He concluded that this mystical change must have been caused by Krishna, whom Balaram considered his worshipable personality of Godhead. He thought it was arranged by Krishna, and even I could not check its mystic power. Thus, Balaram understood that all those boys and calves were only expansions of Krishna. Balaram inquired from Krishna about the actual situation. He said, "My dear Krishna, In the beginning, I thought that all these cows, calves, and cowherd boys were either great sages and saintly persons or demigods. But at the present, it appears that they are actually your expansions. They're all you. You yourself are playing as the calves and cows and boys. What is the mystery of this situation? Where have those other calves and cows and boys gone? And why are you expanding yourself as the cows, calves, and boys? Will you kindly tell me what is the cause? At the request of Balaram, Krishna briefly explained the whole situation, how the calves and boys were stolen by Brahma, and how he was concealing the incident by expanding himself so people would not know that the original cows, calves, and boys were missing. While Krishna and Balaram were talking, Brahma returned after a moment's interval, according to the duration of his life. We have information of Lord Brahma's duration of life from the Bhagavad Gita, 1000 times the duration of the four ages, or 4,300,000 into 1000 comprise Brahma's 12 hours. Similarly, one moment of Brahma is equal to 1 year of our solar calculation. After one moment of Brahma's calculation, Brahma came back to see the fun caused by his stealing the boys and calves. But he was also afraid that he was playing with fire. Krishna was his master, and he had played mischief for fun by taking away his calves and boys. He was really anxious, so he did not stay away very long. He came back after a moment of his calculation. He saw that all the boys, calves, and cows were playing with Krishna in the same way as when he had come upon them, although he was confident that he had taken them and made them lie down asleep under the spell of his mystic sleep. Brahma began to think, all the boys, calves, and cows were taken away by me, and I know they are still sleeping. How is it that a similar batch of cows, calves, and boys are playing with Krishna? Is it that they are not influenced by my mystic power? Have they been playing continually for 1 year with Krishna? Brahma tried to understand who they were and how they were uninfluenced by his mystic power, but he could not ascertain it. In other words, he himself came under the spell of his own mystic power. The influence of his mystic power appeared like snow in darkness or the glowworm in daytime. In night's darkness, the glowworm can show some glittering power, and the snow piled up on the top of a hill or on the ground can shine during the daytime. But at night, the snow has no silver glitter, nor does the glowworm have any illuminating power during the daytime. Similarly, when the small mystic power exhibited by Brahma was before the mystic power of Krishna, it was just like snow or the glowworm. When a man of small mystic power wants to show potency in the presence of greater mystic power, he diminishes his own influence. He does not increase it. Even a great personality like Brahma, when he wanted to show his mystic power before Krishna, became ludicrous. Brahma was thus confused about his own mystic power. In order to convince Brahma that all those cows, calves, and boys were not the original ones, the cows, calves, and boys who were playing with Krishna, transformed into Vishnu forms. Actually, all those cows, calves, and boys were under the spell of Brahma's mystic power, but the present ones seen by Brahma were all immediate expansions of Krishna or Vishnu. Vishnu is the expansion of Krishna, so the Vishnu forms appeared before Brahma. All the Vishnu forms were of bluish color and dressed in yellow garments. All of them had four hands decorated with club, disc, lotus flower, and conch shell. On their heads were glittering golden jeweled helmets. They were bedecked with pearls and earrings and garlanded with beautiful flowers. On their chests was the mark of Srivatsa. Their arms were decorated with armlets and other jewelry. Their necks were smooth, just like the conch shell. Their legs were decorated with bells, their waists decorated with gold bells, and their fingers decorated with jeweled rings. Brahma also saw that upon the whole body of Lord Vishnu, fresh tulasi buds were thrown, beginning from his lotus feet up to the top of the head. Another significant feature of the Vishnu forms was that all of them were looking transcendently beautiful. Their smiling resembled the moonshine, and their glancing resembled the early rising of the sun. Just by their glancing, they appeared as the creators and maintainers of the modes of ignorance and passion. Vishnu represents the mode of goodness, Brahma represents the mode of passion, and Lord Shiva represents the mode of ignorance. Therefore, as maintainer of everything in the cosmic manifestation, Vishnu is also the creator and maintainer of Brahma and Lord Shiva. After this manifestation of Lord Vishnu, Brahma saw that many other Brahmas and Shivas and demigods and even insignificant living entities down to the ants and very small straws, movable and immovable living entities, were dancing surrounding Lord Vishnu. Their dancing was accompanied by various kinds of music, and all of them were worshipping Lord Vishnu. Brahma realized that all those Vishnu forms were complete, beginning from the anima perfection of becoming smaller like an atom, up to becoming infinite like the cosmic manifestation. All the mystic powers of Brahma, Shiva, all the demigods, and the 24 elements of cosmic manifestation were fully represented in the person of Vishnu. By the influence of Lord Vishnu, all subordinate mystic powers were engaged in his worship. He was being worshipped by time, space, cosmic manifestation, reformation, desire, activity, and the three qualities of material nature. Lord Vishnu, Brahma also realized, is the reservoir of all truth, knowledge, and bliss. He is the combination of three transcendental dimensions. Brahma realized that all the different forms of cows, boys, and calves transformed into Vishnu forms were not transformed by a mysticism of the type that a yogi or a demigod can display by specific powers invested in him. The cows, calves, and boys transformed into Vishnu Murtis or Vishnu forms were not displays of Vishnu Maya or Vishnu energy, but were Vishnu himself. The respective qualifications of Vishnu and Vishnu Maya are just like the qualification of fire, namely warmth, and yet heat is not fire. The manifestation of the Vishnu forms of the boys, calves, and cows was not like the heat, but rather the fire. They were all actually Vishnu. Factually, the qualification of Vishnu is full truth, full knowledge, and full bliss. Another example can be given with material objects which are reflected in many forms. For example, the sun is reflected in many water pots, but the reflections of the sun in many pots are not actually the sun. There is no actual heat and light from the sun in the pot, although it appears as the sun. But the forms which Krishna assumed were each and every one full Vishnu. Satyam means truth, Jnanam, full knowledge, and Ananda, full bliss. Transcendental forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his person are so great that the impersonal followers of the Upanishads cannot reach the platform of knowledge to understand them. Particularly, the transcendental forms of the Lord are beyond the reach of the impersonalists who can only understand through the studies of Upanishads that the absolute truth is not matter and that the absolute truth is not materially restricted by limited potency. Lord Brahma understood Krishna and his expansion into Vishnu forms and could understand that due to the expansion of energy of the Supreme Lord, everything movable and immovable within the cosmic manifestation is existing. When Brahma was thus standing baffled in his limited power and conscious of his limited activities within the 11 senses, he could at least realize that he was also a creation of the material energy, just like a puppet. As a puppet has no independent power to dance, but dances according to the direction of the puppet master, so the demigods and living entities are all subordinate to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As it is stated in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the only master is Krishna and all others are servants. The whole world is under the waves of the material spell, and beings are floating like straws in water. So their struggle for existence is continuing. But as soon as one becomes conscious that he is the eternal servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this Maya or illusory struggle for existence is immediately stopped. Lord Brahma, who was full Lord Brahma, who has full control over the goddess of learning, and who is considered to be the best authority in Vedic knowledge, was thus perplexed, being unable to understand the extraordinary power manifested in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the mundane world, even a personality like Brahma is unable to understand the potential mystic power of the Supreme Lord. Not only did Brahma fail to understand, but he was perplexed even to see the display which was being manifested by Krishna before him. Krishna took compassion upon Brahma's inability to see even how he was displaying the force of Vishnu in transforming himself into cows and cowherd boys. And fully manifesting the Vishnu expansion, he suddenly pulled his curtain of Yogamaya over the scene. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not visible due to the curtain spread by Yogamaya. That which covers the reality is Mahamaya, or the external energy, which does not allow a conditioned soul to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead beyond the cosmic manifestation. But the energy which partially manifests the Supreme Personality of Godhead and partially does not allow one to see is called Yogamaya. Brahma is not an ordinary conditioned soul. He is far, far superior to all the demigods. And yet, he could not comprehend the display of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, Krishna willingly stopped manifesting any further potency. The conditioned soul not only becomes bewildered, but he is completely unable to understand. The curtain of Yogamaya was drawn so that Brahma would not become more and more perplexed. When Brahma was relieved from his perplexity, he appeared to be awakened from an almost dead state, and he began to open his eyes with great difficulty. Thus he could see the eternal cosmic manifestation with common eyes. He saw all around him the super excellent view of Vrindavan, full with trees, which is the source of life for all living entities. He could appreciate the transcendental land of Vrindavan, where all the living entities are transcendental to ordinary nature. In the forest of Vrindavan, even ferocious animals like tigers and others live peacefully along with the deer and human being. He could understand that because of the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Vrindavan, that place is transcendental to all other places, and that there is no lust and greed there. Brahma thus found Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, playing the part of a small cowherd boy. He saw that little child with a lump of food in his left hand, searching out his friends, cows and calves, just as he was actually doing 1 year before after their disappearance. Immediately, Brahma descended from his great swan carrier and fell down before the Lord just like a golden stick. The word used among the Vaishnavas for offering respect is dandavat. This word means falling down like a stick. One should offer respect to the superior Vaishnava by falling down straight with his body just like a stick. So Brahma fell down before the Lord just like a stick to offer respect. And because the complexion of Brahma is golden, he appeared to be like a golden stick lying down before Lord Krishna. All the four helmets on the heads of Brahma touched the lotus feet of Krishna. Brahma, being very joyful, began to shed tears, and he washed the lotus feet of Krishna with his tears. Repeatedly he fell and rose as he recalled the wonderful activities of the Lord. After repeating obeisances for a long time, Brahma stood up and smeared his hands over his eyes. Seeing the Lord before him, he, trembling, began to offer prayers with great respect, humility, and attention. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 13th chapter of Krishna, entitled The Stealing of the Boys and Calves by Brahma. So we just now heard this 13th chapter of Krishna book. It is called Brahma Vimohana Leela. Brahma stole the cowherd boys and calves of Krishna, but Krishna bewildered Brahma by expanding himself into innumerable Vishnu expansions, and each of these expansions assumed the form of the cowherd boys and the calves exactly to the finer details, all those who were stolen by Brahma. So, this is called Brahma Vimohana Leela, the pastime of bewilderment of Brahma. Okay, so in the next chapter, we will see Brahma offers prayers. So, before that, let us now have a quiz based on this chapter. Let us see, let us try to recollect all the points, important points from this chapter. So I'm going to ask you questions. Like yesterday, I request all of you to please type your answer in the chat window. Okay. So here is your first question. What was the exact qualification of Maharaj Parikshit which made the subject matter of discussion between Shukadev Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit, uh, that is Krishna Katha, fresher? How did Maharaj Parikshit make the discussion of Krishna Katha ever fresh? One word answer. Yes. Alankrita Mataji has given the right answer. Inquisitiveness, jignasa, right? So Maharaj Parikshit inquired from Shukadev Goswami. You told that the killing of the Aghasura demon was not discussed in Vrindavan for 1 year. So I want to know what is the reason for this. Why for 1 year this discussion never happened about the killing of Aghasura by Krishna? This question was raised by Maharaj Parikshit. So Shukadev Goswami congratulated Maharaj Parikshit, saying that you are making the subject matter of Krishna Katha fresher by your inquisitiveness. So inquisitiveness is a very important quality of a devotee, especially A devotee should be inquisitive to know about Krishna more and more, and that is exactly the qualification of Maharaj Parikshit. Okay, the next question. Uh, what is the difference, one difference between material subject matter and transcendental subject matter? What is the difference between material subject matter and transcendental subject matter? I request all of you to please type your answer on the chat window. We will wait for everyone to type. One important difference between material subject matter and transcendental subject matter. So Abhishek Kumar says material subject becomes boring. Okay. Is there any other difference? So Srila Prabhupada writes, material subject matter becomes stale. Yes. Transcendental subject matter is ever fresh. Correct. Abhishek Kumar has given the right answer. So, Nitya Nava 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 Yavana. Huh? Nitya Nava Navayamana. Nava Navayamana means it is ever fresh. Spiritual subject matter connected with Krishna, topics connected with Krishna are ever fresh. So that is the point. Whereas material subject matter, uh, it has a date of expiry, right? It might create some sensation in the beginning at some point of time, but after some time it becomes stale. Stale means it becomes old news. It is no more creating any sensation. That is the difference between spiritual subject matter and material subject matter. Okay, the next question. Uh, yes. Now, when Krishna told all the cowherd boys that let us sit down here, let us take our lunch here, and so they all sat down, they all agreed. So they let loose the calves, and they started eating the soft grass. Correct? So everybody started opening their lunch boxes, and they all sat around Krishna. Krishna was in the center. They were all facing towards Krishna. So they all kept their faces towards Krishna. So here it is said, they all ate constantly, but while enjoying the food that they were eating, they were also enjoying the beauty of Krishna. They were seeing Krishna. So here it is compared, Krishna is compared to something, and cowherd boys are compared to something. What is that? Please type your answer. Yes, Abhishek Kumar says whirl of the lotus flower. So who is whirl of the lotus flower and who are the petals? Yes, uh, yes, Krishna, right? Cowherd boys are compared to the petals, right? That's the right answer. Correct. So Krishna is compared to the whirl of the flower, the central part of the flower, and surrounding it, all the cowherd boys, they are compared to petals of the flower. So beautiful, isn't it? Comparison is so nice. Right. That's the right answer. Uh, Radha Krishna Prabhu and Abhishek Kumar have given the right answer. Okay, the next question. So, another important thing as I was reading, I remembered, or it struck me, all the cowherd boys, they were sitting around Krishna, keeping Krishna in the center. So they are teaching all of us that in our life, if we want real enjoyment, real pleasure, we should keep Krishna in the center of our lives. In all our activities, Krishna should be the center, and we should turn our face towards Krishna. That is very important, right? Generally, we are all Krishna Bahirmukha. That's what the scriptures say. People in the material world are called Krishna Bahirmukha. That means we have turned our face away from Krishna. But the cowherd boys here, they were all sitting in a circle around Krishna in the center. They were all facing Krishna. And while they were eating their lunch, they were all enjoying the beauty of Krishna's face by looking at him face to face. So if we want real enjoyment, real happiness, we should learn from these Gopas that in all our activities, we should be Krishna conscious. We should be not Krishna Bahirmukha. We should be Krishna Antarmukha. We should see Krishna always. We should be conscious of Krishna. Okay, the next question. Now, the calves went away, so all the cowherd boys were worried. Calves are going deep into the forest because they're allured by the fresh, soft grass. Now, when they all were worried, Krishna assured them, don't worry, you don't stop your lunch, you continue your lunch, I will go find all the calves. Right? At that time, Krishna had pushed his flute into the belt of his cloth around his waist, and he had also pushed his bugle in the same place on the left hand side of his cloth. Okay. Now he was holding something in his hand. What was Krishna holding when he went in search of the calves into the forest? What was Krishna holding? Okay. Someone says food, someone says yogurt, someone says rice mixed with rice preparation. Okay. Yogurt rice. Okay. Yes, that's the right answer. All of your answers are correct. So Krishna, he was holding a lump of food stuff in his hand, and that lump of food stuff, it was a mixture of yogurt, butter, rice, and some pieces of fruit salad. And he was holding it not in his right hand, but in his left palm. In his left palm, he was holding it. Actually, Udupi Krishna deity, when we have darshan, he is exactly in this form, holding a lump of food in his hand, and he's also holding a herding stick, cow herding stick. We see this Udupi Krishna form in form of Krishna, installed and worshipped personally by the great Madhvacharya in Udupi temple, Udupi Kshetra. So this should remind us when we have darshan of Udupi Krishna, this Brahma Vimohana Leela pastime, we should never forget is the exact description given here. Okay, the next one, next question. Yes. So complete this sentence. Dash is afraid of Krishna. Dash is afraid of Krishna. Yes. Shashi Ram has given the right answer. Radha Krishna Prabhu also has given the right answer, but it is not complete answer. Both their answers are little not incomplete. It's partial. Okay, the right answer is yes. Now Shashiram has given the full answer. Correct. Alankrita Mataji also. Abhishek Kumar, right answer. Fear personified is afraid of Krishna. Yad bibheti swayam bhayam. Uh, Kunti Maharani offers her prayers in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna, you are feared by fear personified, yet that day you became afraid of Mother Yashoda and started running away. This is very bewildering to me, Kunti Maharani says. Yad bibheti swayam bhayam. Fear personified is afraid of Krishna. Okay. So it is said here, the moment all the cowherd boys uttered the name of Krishna, their fear, they were able to transcend their fear. So one can become fearless simply by chanting the holy names of Krishna. This is brought out many pastimes in the Bhagavatam. Here also we see the same thing. Bhaktanam abhayankaraha. Bhagavatam says Krishna is ready to bestow fearlessness upon his devotees. And the devotees, to become fearless, they take shelter of the holy name of Krishna. So all the cowherd boys started crying, Krishna. And because of this, they transcended the fearful condition. Okay, the next question. Yes. So Brahma stole the cowherd boys and the calves, isn't it? Now, what did Krishna think when he got to know that Brahma had stolen all the cowherd boys and calves? What did Krishna think? About whom did Krishna think first? Let us see who remembers. Whom did Krishna think about first when he got to know that Lord Brahma had stolen the cowherd boys and the cows from Vrindavan? Okay, no one is attempting. Okay, how can I go alone, Vrindavan? Yes, Krishna Chandra has given the right answer. Krishna thought, Brahma has taken away all the boys and calves. How can I alone return to Vrindavan? The mothers will be aggrieved. So he was thinking about the mothers. The mothers will be aggrieved when they get to know that their sons, their children, their offsprings have gone missing. So Krishna immediately is thinking about the mothers. Okay, next question. What is the reason Brahma stole the cowherd boys and the cows? Why did Brahma steal? What was the reason? So let's see the answers. Okay, yes, all of you have given. Yes, most of you have given the right answer. Let us see the answers. So here, Abhishek Kumar says Lord's pastimes. Shashi Ram says to witness more glorious pastimes of the Lord. And Raju Reddy, yes, Radha Krishna Prabhu says, glorify the Lord, more glorified. Krishna Chandra says, wants to see Krishna's pastimes. Srivigraha Reddy says, to test Krishna's power. Actually, no, Brahma did not want to test Krishna's power, but as Shashiram exactly mentioned, Prabhupada mentions here, Lord Brahma wanted to see more glorious pastimes of the Lord. That is why he stole all the calves and cowherd boys, right? So, although Brahma knew that this boy, he was informed, it is said, he was informed that the little cowherd boy was the supreme personality of Godhead. But he wanted to see more glorious pastimes of the Lord, and with this intention, he actually uh, stole the cowherd boys and the calves. Okay, the next question. Yeah. So, in which scripture it is said, Parasya Brahmana Shaktihi. Whatever we actually see in the cosmic manifestation, be it matter or the activities of the living entities, is simply an expansion of the energies of the Lord. In which scripture it is said, Prabhupada quotes which scripture? Yes, Alankrita Mataji, Radha Krishna Prabhu. Yes, all of you have given the right answer. It is Vishnu Purana. Vishnu Purana is the right answer. Parasya Brahmana Shakti. That means whatever we see around us is actually the expansion of the Lord's energies. Just like heat and light are expansions of the fire. That example is exactly taken from the Vishnu Purana. Okay, the next question. Uh, yes. Now, as soon as uh, so the on the Govardhan hill, on the hilltop, the Gopas were there, elderly Gopas, along with cows, and uh, under the Govardhan hill, in the pasturing ground, Krishna and all the cowherd boys and all the calves were there. And as soon as the cows saw the calves, so what did they do actually? What did the cows do as soon as they saw the calves below under the Govardhan hill in the pasturing ground? What did the cows do? Let's see who answers this very easy question. The cows discharged milk. No, that's not the right answer. Yes, Krishna Chandra has given the right answer. They started running down, right? They started coming down the hill with their milk bags full of milk and with tails raised. Yes, Shashiram has given the right answer. So the cows started without even worrying about the path, which was not very clear, filled with lot of boulders, stones. The affection for Krishna. Actually, it was affection for Krishna, right? Because all the calves were actually expansions of Krishna. So much affectionate they were. Therefore, they all started running running from the top of the Govardhan hill to reach out to their calves, even though those calves were not small to drink milk from the cows. They were all matured calves. They could eat grass independent of the mother. But still, that was the affection. That, that's why Krishna is called all attractive. Sarvam Karshati iti Krishna. One who attracts everyone is called Krishna. So the cows were not getting attracted to their calves actually. They were getting attracted to Krishna, who was in the shape of their calves. Right? So from this pastime, we also understand that it is a natural inclination for every jiva to be attracted to Krishna. It is a natural position for every living entity to love Krishna, to serve Krishna. This is our natural position. This is our Swarupa. This is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed, isn't it? Jiver Swarupa hoy Krishnera Nitya Dasa. We are all eternally lovers of Krishna, servants of Krishna. This is our actual position. That is why the cowherd women were so much spontaneously attracted to their boys more than they were generally attracted towards their own sons. They were attracted to the to Krishna, who was in the form of their sons. So this pastime is amazing, isn't it? So they were so much attracted, spontaneously attracted towards Krishna. Both the cowherd women, the gopis, and the cows, they were attracted. Okay, now who could understand? Who could understand that this attraction is something not ordinary? It was created by Krishna himself. Yes. So all of you have given the right answer. Yes, Lord Balaram could understand. Balaram could understand. This is something mystical. This is not happening every day in Vrindavan. How come the cows who were on the top of the Govardhan hill, as soon as they saw the cows, without any hesitation, you know, unchecked, even the Gopas could not stop them, the elderly Gopas who were tending the cows, they could also not stop. So spontaneously they started running towards downhill. Something is mystic about it. Balaram could understand. Balaram is very confidential, right? Balaram is the first expansion of Krishna. So he understood that this is all because of. Yes, now very good question. One participant, Tridha Mataji, has asked, why was Balaram not stolen by Brahma? Yeah, you have to wait a little. Suspense is there. That is revealed in the next chapter. Anyway, I'll break the suspense. Uh, it is said that day Balaram did not go with Krishna and all the cowherd boys because of one special reason. What is the reason? Anyone can guess? Balaram did not go along with Krishna and the cowherd boys
Because
on the day
previous day
when,
we had Agasura Vada, right, bro?
correct. So that was the reason Balaram didn't go. Now, on the day of Aghasura being killed, on the very same day only, Brahma came and stole all the cowherd boys and the cows. But Balaram was not there. Why? Balaram was not there, it is said, because it was his birthday that day. So he was at home. He didn't go for pasturing ground that day. That we will see in the next chapter. Prabhupada explains that. So, good question. So, quickly, let us see few more questions. Okay, the difference between Vishnu and Vishnu Maya, uh, Vishnu and Vishnu Maya difference is compared to what? Can you can someone tell me quickly? Type your answer. Yes, Shashiram has to indicate which is Vishnu, which is Vishnu Maya. You're given the analogy, but what exactly? Who is Vishnu? Who is Vishnu Maya? Okay, fire is Vishnu, and its effect, heat, is Vishnu Maya. Right? That's the right example. So here Prabhupada is explaining that all the expansions of Krishna, the Vishnu Murti expansions, who had all taken the form of the calves and the cowherd boys, they are actually not expansions of Krishna's Maya. They are actually Vishnu himself. So there is a difference between Vishnu and Vishnu's Maya, and that is explained through fire and warmth, right? Analogy. So Prabhupada writes here, in the heat there is the qualification of fire, namely warmth, and yet heat is not fire. So the manifestation of the Vishnu forms of the boys, cows, and calves were not like the heat, but rather the fire. They were actually Vishnu. They were actually Narayana. So Brahma could see, Lord Brahma could later see that four-handed Narayana form, Chaturbhuja Narayana forms, he could see. That means they were not expansion of Krishna's Maya or energy, they were Vishnu himself, his personal expansion. This we have to understand very carefully. Okay, then yes. Another, complete this sentence. When Brahma was thus standing baffled in his limited power and conscious of his limited activities within the 11 senses, he could at once realize that he was also a creation of the material energy, just like a dash. What did Brahma realize about himself? He was like a dash. Okay, Alankrita Mataji has given the right answer. Puppet. Puppet is the right answer. So, as a puppet has no independent power to dance, but dances according to the direction of the puppet master, so the demigods and the living entities are all subordinate to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ekala Ishvara Krishna Arasabhritya. Krishna is the only master, and all living entities are his Bhritya, servants. And as per the desire of the master, all the living entities have to dance like puppets in the hands of puppet master. Okay. Hmm. Okay, what is the energy which partially manifests the Supreme Personality of Godhead and partially does not allow one to see him is called? What is that called? Mahamaya or Yogamaya? What is the answer? Partially it allows you to see the Lord, partially covers your vision. What is that called? Yogamaya or Mahamaya? Okay, somebody is saying Mahamaya, two devotees are saying Yogamaya. The right answer is Yogamaya. Mahamaya completely covers our vision. It completely makes us forgetful of our relationship with Krishna. That is Mahamaya, illusion. Whereas Yogamaya, as Prabhupada says here, uh, yes, let us see that part. Krishna took compassion upon Brahma's inability to even see how he was displaying the force of Vishnu in transforming himself into cows and cowherd boys. And thus, while fully manifesting the Vishnu expansion, he suddenly pulled his curtain of Yogamaya over the scene. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not visible due to the curtain spread by Yogamaya. That which covers the reality is Mahamaya or the external energy, which does not allow a conditioned soul to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead beyond the cosmic manifestation. But the energy which partially manifests the Supreme Personality of Godhead and partially does not allow one to see is called Yogamaya. Right? The curtain of Yogamaya was drawn so that Brahma would not become more and more perplexed. That means Yogamaya, that means when Krishna understood that Brahma is in a perplexed situation, what did Krishna do? By summoning Yogamaya, he partially revealed his greatness to Brahma. And that is why Brahma was able to see the four-handed Narayana expansions who had actually taken the forms of cowherd boys and the calves. So, in other words, in simple terms, Yogamaya allows us to perceive the Lord, whereas Mahamaya fully blocks our vision. Mahamaya, it conditions us to material seeing, right? So when we are chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we pray to the Lord to transfer us from the influence of Mahamaya to put us under the influence of Yogamaya, which is conducive for us to perceive the Lord or to see the Lord in this material existence. Okay, so last question. What when Brahma offered obeisances, Dandavat Pranama to Krishna, what is he compared to? Yes. Yes, all of you have given the right answer. Brahma is compared to a golden stick because Brahma's bodily complexion is golden, and since he fell down like a danda, like a stick, dandavat means to fall like a stick at the lotus feet of Krishna. Brahma is compared to a golden stick, right? Okay, yesterday somebody asked a question, and I told that I'll tell now, just now I'll tell. One of the great acharyas in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, compares or explains that different demons killed by Krishna are actually different anarthas. Anarthas means shortcomings or bad qualities that stop us from progressing in bhakti. So, Putana is compared to a pseudo guru, right? A non bona fide spiritual master because Putana came in disguise as though she is a maiden. She fooled everybody because she was very nicely dressed. So, like that, a non bona fide spiritual master, he passes off in front of everybody that he is a great person in knowledge, but he is actually not bona fide, right? So, that is Putana. Trinavarta, the whirlwind demon, is compared to pride. Pride makes us think that we are very highly situated. Just like Trinavarta took baby Krishna to the top of the sky, the top of the sky. But because of Krishna's weight, he could not tolerate. He fell down. He came down. He had to descend. Right? Pride goes before a fall. So pride is represented by Trinavarta, and then Shakatasura. Shakatasura is the load, the cart load, the heaviness created by our past habits or our past karma, the burden that we are carrying because of the past karma, past habits. That is the representation of Shakatasura. And then yesterday we saw, okay, Aghasura. Aghasura represents cruelty. Cruelty is represented by Aghasura. Actually, a devotee should be paradukha dukhi. He should be very compassionate towards other living entities. But look at Aghasura, he manifested himself as a big cave with wide open mouth, with a cruel intention to swallow Krishna and all the cowherd boys. Right? So this cruelty does not take us towards Krishna. Right? We need to be more humble, compassionate, right? That's the quality of a devotee. Cruelty is represented by Adhasura. And then we saw yesterday Vatsasura. Vatsasura means a demon who came in the form of a calf. Now that represents childish behavior. Childish behavior means immature behavior, taking things too lightly. This is a quality also which is detrimental for spiritual progress. That is represented by Vatsasura. So, like this, there are different demons. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur compares. I will share a chart in our Krishnamrita um, WhatsApp channel so that all these very nicely it is mapped. I have prepared a chart I will share so that you know which demon is representing which quality. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says every day when we chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, we should ardently pray to the holy name, pray to Krishna, who is not different from his holy name, saying that, my dear Lord, just like you killed all these demons expertly, there are many bad qualities within me, in my consciousness. O holy name, please descend on my tongue, in my heart, and please kill all these anarthas. Every day, ardently, a devotee should pray like this while chanting the holy names, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, so that we can become free from all these anarthas and develop our pure love for Krishna. So, thank you very much for. Okay, there are. Yes. So, thank you very much for being part of today's session. We will continue to relish the pastimes, nectarian pastimes of Krishna by reading this book, Krishna book. The next chapter is wonderful. Prayers offered by Lord Brahma. So these are filled with lot of philosophical realizations of Brahma. We will see that in the next session tomorrow at 8 p.m. Thank you very much. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Ki Jai.
Yeah.
Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Yeah. Thank you.